David Vorick. I'm here with Glow. We are a DePIN project that rewards solar farms with tokens when they produce carbon credits. And today, I wanted to speak about DePIN incentive basics. Before we get into it, a little bit of background about me. I've been in the space since 2011. I mined my first Bitcoin at $1.50. And so I've seen a lot of things in the past 12, 13 years. In 2014, I founded Saya. Saya launched before Ethereum launched. It reached an all-time high of $3 billion in market cap. I founded Obelisk, a mining company that shipped more than 20,000 working machines to customers. And then I've been held as a leading expert on proof of work for a long time. So today, I'm here to talk about DePIN and the fundamentals that make DePIN great. I want to define DePIN real quick. I know a lot of you probably don't need it, but DePIN is short for decentralized physical infrastructure, and it's this broad category of crypto projects that use token economics to incentivize the construction of infrastructure in the physical world. And one big DePIN project that I think often gets overlooked is Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin is kind of like the grandfather of the entire space. It's the most successful DePIN project ever launched. The hash rate of Bitcoin today is 568 exahashes per second. That's 568 followed by 18 zeros, which is a lot of zeros. And it's basically as much compute power as 5 billion with a B, 5 billion NVIDIA 4090s running 24/7. So Bitcoin kind of showed us all how to do it, and then everyone else has sort of remixed it and done their best to copy it and replicate it. And so some notable successes have been Filecoin, which got to 5 million hard drives, Helium that got to just under 1 million network hotspots, and then there are over 100 DePIN projects in production today. And when talking about DePIN basics, I actually want to focus on a subset of DePIN that I call foundational DePIN. And these are DePIN projects that follow the core incentive structure of Bitcoin. And all of the really successful DePIN projects in crypto today follow these foundational DePIN principles. There is no second place. There's like one way to do DePIN that I've seen that works super duper well, and everything else is kind of just like, there are things that work that are different, but this works the best by a lot. And so there are three things that really make up a solid foundational DePIN project. First, you have a large rewards pool. The second is that rewards get distributed proportionally. And so this is especially important for smaller players. Smaller players make just as much money per unit as bigger players. And then finally, you have permissionless competition, which means it's an even playing field. Anyone, anywhere, no matter who you are, can come and participate in your ecosystem. So to expand on this a little bit, and I hit the wrong button. To expand on this a little bit, when you have a large rewards pool, I think the most important thing is that it's like essentially a big dumb pile of money. It's just a pile of money. It's not using any sort of like algorithms or techniques to distribute things. It just kind of gets out of the way and lets the market do its thing, and lets market economics control the flow of money. So you want a big dumb pile of money. This money is guaranteed to be distributed. And to use Bitcoin as an example, the rewards for Bitcoin today are $18 billion per year. And if Bitcoin had just a single 4090 NVIDIA card mining on it, all $18 billion per year would be distributed to that mining card. The Bitcoin economics really don't care how much, like it doesn't measure how much hash rate is produced and then adjust the rewards. It just has a pile of rewards and says whoever shows up, that's who gets the rewards. And it doesn't worry about being cost efficient. It lets the market take care of being cost efficient. Then the other thing that's worth pointing out, because it's pretty much universal, rewards are usually token inflation. And I don't think that's actually like an important fundamental for foundational DePIN projects, but it is a constant, and so it's worth mentioning anyway. The second thing, you want to make sure that your rewards are being distributed proportional to the amount of services provided, and that means that it's super important for these rewards to be objective. And I'll use an example, like if we were to create a DePIN project that rewarded hair cutteries for cutting people's hair, this is actually like a terrible fit, because how good a haircut is like a super subjective thing to do. It's very difficult to measure. It's very difficult to say this person's providing this much value to our haircut network. It's just a poor fit. You want it to be like Bitcoin, hyper objective, hyper precise. On Bitcoin, if you're hashing, the number of hashes that you did is how much rewards you get. Pardon. The other thing that is really important is you want to make sure that your proportional rewards distribution extends as far down financially as you can. You want the smallest possible player to be competitive. And so in Bitcoin, this is true all the way down to about 0.2% of the hash rate. And so if you are essentially like 1/500th of the entire or 5,000th of the entire Bitcoin protocol, you'll actually still be making the same amount of money per hash rate as someone who is, as much as 90% of the protocol. And so Bitcoin leaves a lot of space for small players to come in and get competitive and to optimize and to innovate. And that's important because it allows people who don't have a lot of resources but are smart and innovative to get competitive and to bring the whole protocol to a better place. And then finally, and I think this is something that's super important and cuts really deep on DePIN projects, is that you want permissionless competition. And so that means that, for example, do you know what the biggest Bitcoin mining farm is? I don't, and this is my life. It doesn't matter. You might know Bitmain, but they're not necessarily the mining farm. Nobody cares who the mining farm is. What they care about is how much hashing happens. And so there's no marketing, there's no sales. And so traditional capitalism has enormous business overheads, and DePIN just kind of cuts past all that. They say the protocol will worry about the business overheads. You provide the infrastructure, and you be really good at optimizing infrastructure. And I think that this point sinks home with an example of competing with AWS. So if we have this hypothetical person who's really exceptional at building data centers. They're the best data center builder in the world, and they say to themselves, I'm going to compete with AWS. I can build a better data center. I can build a better infrastructure. I'm going to take down Jeff Bezos. It's not going to work because AWS is not about how good their data centers is. They have branding, they have sales, they have trust, they have connections, they have SLAs, they have an entire software stack. They have stuff like Lambda, they have customer service, and all of these business capitalist overheads makes Amazon totally dominant. It doesn't matter how good your data center is if you don't have all of these extra things attached to it. However, if you're really good at building data centers and you say, I want to make money on Filecoin, I'm going to plug into Filecoin. Filecoin doesn't care about your sales or your marketing or your business. It just cares about the raw metrics, the raw power of your infrastructure, and it will pay you based on the strength of your infrastructure. And that's why DePIN projects are able to be so competitive, is because the brightest minds who can build the best infrastructure are allowed to focus entirely on building just infrastructure. And we kind of separate those things out. It doesn't matter if you're not good at sales. All that matters is that you can optimize. And then the final topic that I really want to cover about what makes DePIN special is this competitive flywheel. So the big dumb pile of money strategy ends up bringing in a lot of market intelligence. And so if you have a fixed pile of rewards that say, if you bring more infrastructure, you'll get a bigger piece of the pie, you end up driving a ton of competition, and people will continue to add more infrastructure until it's no longer profitable for them to do so. So again, I'm going to use an example of a hypothetical protocol that offers rewards of $8,000 per week. Let's say miner A can provide infrastructure at $10 per unit, and they've totally saturated the network. They don't even care about profits. They just want to win. And so they've built 800 units of infrastructure for $10 a unit, and the protocol is paying $10 a unit for infrastructure. Miner B shows up, has a better cost structure. They can build infrastructure for $8 per unit. What ends up happening is that it's profitable for miner B to keep building more infrastructure for the protocol, basically beyond the point where A was saturated. And so the math works out to miner B adds 90 units of infrastructure. The protocol ends up at 890 units total and ends up paying $8.90 per unit. And so this big dumb pile of money has just managed to purchase 890 units of infrastructure profitably, despite the fact that the dominant player and most of the money is going to someone who's not that efficient. And so the competition structure of proof of work and of DePIN, of foundational DePIN, ends up allowing the protocol to pay the lowest sustainable price for every single unit of infrastructure that it buys. And it doesn't matter if it's buying it from a less efficient competitor. The more efficient competitors will push the price to its equilibrium point, and effectively the miner A over multiple iterations is going to be outcompeted. And each time that A loses business and has to wind part of its infrastructure down, B becomes a bigger part of the network and the overall price drops. And so that's why you see Bitcoin at the very top. It's an enormous pool of money. It's a bunch of people who have worked very hard over the past decade to optimize the hell out of SHA-256 hashing, and they have found thousands of corners to cut that cumulatively result in the most efficient compute platform in the world. Dollars per hash, Bitcoin's something like 200,000x better than NVIDIA, who's like the second place most efficient compute platform in the world. Bitcoin is so far ahead, and this is all owed to this like absolutely brutal competitive structure. DePIN, when it's working at its best, sets up this like hyper competitive just landscape for producing better infrastructure. And the protocol doesn't need to know anything about it. All the protocol needs is a giant dumb pile of money that it's not afraid to spend 100% of. So I've been building Glow, and I wanted to make a DePIN project that focused on solar. And so we just wanted to apply all of these principles to how Glow works. So today, Glow offers $22,000 in cash per week and $525,000 in Glow tokens per week as rewards to solar farms. That's your, in Glow, that's the big dumb pile of money. As the token price goes up, the rewards go up. And then solar farms earn money as they produce carbon credits. The second thing, proportional rewards distribution. Just like Bitcoin, we wanted to make sure that the participation barrier was as low as possible. So the kind of the minimum viable Glow project is a solar farm on a rooftop. It's about a $15,000 cost to build that, and then you can be a miner on Glow. And so everyone's on the same playing field, and importantly, it's totally permissionless. So Glow doesn't have like a specific Glow branded panel that you have to buy. You can use any solar panel, any installer. You can be seated on any modern power grid. And basically what matters on Glow, the core metric that Glow evaluates its infrastructure providers on is, are you producing electricity that's outcompeting dirty energy? Are you pushing coal and natural gas off the grid and replacing it with something cleaner? And then Glow expanded on this using an idea that I've seen a lot of other DePIN projects pursue, but a lot of these other DePIN projects, when they go this direction, they like lose the fundamentals. And so Glow works very hard to remain a foundational DePIN project while also building this positive feedback loop, which does not exist in Bitcoin. Basically, solar panels earn rewards when they produce carbon credits. The carbon credits are owned by the protocol. The protocol sells the carbon credits and then uses the proceeds to burn Glow tokens, brings up the Glow price, and so you end up with this like virtuous cycle on Glow where more solar panels means more carbon credits, means more revenue, means more Glow token burn, and each cycle Glow gets bigger and bigger, and so Glow grows as Glow grows. And so that's about all I have to say. But in conclusion, like the one thing that I really want you to take away is that the most successful projects in the space, in the DePIN space historically, have been these foundational projects which make sure they preserve three core principles. One, a super large rewards pool or a big dumb pile of money. Two, proportional rewards distribution. No matter who you are, no matter how big you are, you get the same rewards per unit of infrastructure that everyone else is getting. And then finally, there's like no sales team. You don't need credentials. You're not looking for MIT students. MIT students might show up, and that's fine. But also, if some dude in their basement invents something amazing and brings it to your protocol, they don't have to ask permission. They don't have to tell people how amazing it is. They can just flip a switch, turn on their infrastructure, and make a ton of money. And that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.